After the Timberwolves' disappointing series against the OKC Thunder, it really felt like they had no chance at all to win this series, and I feel like they might make some changes this year, and some players might want to leave. And one of those players who I believe might not be on the team next year is Naz Reid. And, before we get into everything, make sure you guys like the video and subscribe, but this is actually pretty juicy because the Timberwolves have Julius Randle, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Naz Reid potentially being up in free agency this year, as Naz Reid is a $15 million player option this year. But if you're Naz Reid, you basically are trying to get more in a longer-term deal. So he's probably going to decline that player option, which moves him to the open market, which anyone can go at him. And before we get into the teams that could possibly get Naz Reid, because there's a lot of them, but also I don't really believe that the Timberwolves have enough money or are willing to pay that much money for Naz Reid, because they're going to be way over the salary cap. They already have a lot of money tied to Rudy Gobert. They want to sign Julius Randle back. They have a max contract thrown at Anthony Edwards. Jaden McDaniels is going to be making a lot of money here soon. And for the Timberwolves, it's going to be hard for them to pay, a bench player all the money that Naz Reid is going to want to be expecting, because he's probably going to want a lot of money. So, the Timberwolves, I could very see him going to a new team next year. Obviously, he fits really well with the Timberwolves, but, maybe he wants a starting role. Maybe he wants to get more money than the Timberwolves are willing to offer. There's a lot of factors that come into this. And now looking at a tweet that Bovada Official reposted, it basically says the Warriors are the favorites to land Naz Reid, and the top 5 teams are the Warriors, the Nets, the Hornets, the Lakers, and the Raptors. And first, we're going to look at the Warriors because I feel like this really fits well with their system, because obviously Naz Reid is a good ball handler, a good three-point shooter. He has decent defense, but, the Warriors aren't really known for having a big guy. So, he could kind of fit right into that scheme perfectly. Him and Draymond could be a good little duo. Draymond could bring the defense, and Naz could bring the offensive versatility there. And they have Jonathan Kuminga, who's entering free agency, so maybe some sort of sign and trade could happen here. That could be something sneaky, because obviously if the Warriors strike out with all the big names like Giannis, KD, all those guys, Naz Reid could be right there for them. And does this make the Warriors a title contender? I'm not really sure. The Warriors technically were title contenders this year. They were a second-round team, but obviously Curry got injured, and the Timberwolves didn't really stand a chance against OKC, so who really knows what the Warriors would do against OKC. But, they were at best probably a conference finals, maybe a finals team. I don't really know. But if you add Naz Reid, he could help them move over the hump. Obviously, I feel like the Warriors have a lot more stuff to do, because after Curry got hurt, no one really looked that great for them in the playoffs. So there's going to need to be moves to be made for the Warriors. But, maybe bringing in Naz Reid could be a move that they do. Obviously, I heard that they have Cam Johnson on the radar as well. Obviously Giannis, like everybody, but being realistic, I think Naz Reid could be a good fit for them in a good scenario. The next team we have on that list was the Brooklyn Nets, and that could be interesting as well, because Naz Reid could kind of just blossom there. They obviously have Nick Claxton, but I don't really know how attached they are to Nick Claxton anymore, and I feel like if Naz Reid goes there, he can kind of spread his wings. He can just take any shot he wants. He can just chuck shots, really, because the Nets are rebuilding. Maybe the Nets are going to not have Cam Johnson anymore by that time, and, maybe Naz Reid turns into a star. Who really knows? He has the star potential, in my opinion. So the Brooklyn Nets aren't terrible. It kind of just a whole 180 from the Warriors situation, because if he goes to the Warriors, he's going to want to compete for a championship, and if he goes for the Nets, he's going to try to break out and become the best player he can possibly be, taking as much shots as he can while being on a team that's not that good. So they kind of contrast themselves there. And the next team we have is the Charlotte Hornets, which are kind of like the Brooklyn Nets, but also the Hornets are going to want to try to be better this year. Obviously, they didn't get the best draft pick, as the Mavericks and the Spurs got super lucky in the Sixers. So, their rebuild is kind of looking rough right now, and they might trade LaMelo Ball. But if they decide to keep LaMelo Ball, Naz Reid could be a good little addition to that team to help them maybe become a better team, maybe a play-in team next year. Who really knows there? So I think Naz Reid going to the Hornets is not bad either. All these teams aren't bad, because, Naz Reid is kind of in the middle of his prime. He's in his mid-20s, and, he doesn't really need to be competing right now, but he also can help a team get way better. So, he's kind of in that weird mediocrity. There's a lot of teams that could, use a Naz Reid. And the Hornets are kind of realistic, because it's going to be hard for them to get a lot of free agents, because no one wants to go to Charlotte, so they could overpay for Naz Reid, and he could go there. So the Hornets are an option. And then we have the Lakers, which also are cool. I don't really know how the Lakers would afford him, because they have a lot of money tied up to their guys, and Austin Reeves is going to want a lot of money coming up next year, not this year, but next year. So I don't really know how the Lakers will get him, but, he could fit really well for them. Obviously, he doesn't bring the defense that you would want out of him, but he's a center that could play real hoops because Naz Reid is legit. So, he is a center. They definitely need a center, and Naz Reid could be that guy. I just think the Lakers might need more of a guy who can catch lobs, play great defense, more of that type of center. But Naz Reid is an option for them. And the last team we have is the Raptors, which I feel like is also really sneaky because the Raptors have a really good roster. They don't have a superstar yet. Maybe one of their guys takes the next leap, but they just traded for Brandon Ingram. They have Scotty Barnes, who's been an all-star before. They have Emmanuel Quickly, who could take a jump. They have RJ Barrett, who's a good 20-point-per-game scorer. So if they add Naz Reid, that could be a sneaky little playoff team next year. I mean, the Raptors already had the roster construction of a potential playoff team. So, adding Naz Reid could even elevate them more. So I actually like the Raptors a lot. My favorite two teams here are the Warriors and the Raptors, in my opinion. But, that's actually not too bad of an idea. But yeah, y'all let me know in the comments down below where you guys think Naz Reid will go. If you think the Warriors are a good fit, if you think the Nets are a good fit, the Lakers, Hornets, or the Raptors, let me know down below. Make sure you guys like the video, do that stuff as well. I think Naz Reid has the potential to make a big splash in the NBA here because he's a sneaky, really good talent. And, I feel like if he gets enough shots, gets enough minutes, he could really explode next year and become, a potential star, a really, really valuable role player. Obviously, he is already, but he could be even more valuable. But yeah, let me know in the comments, like the video, and subscribe, and we out.